Isn't there a red light showing?
No, I turned the tally light off.
Okay, you're going.
We're on the air.
Live! No,
Hey YouTube, this is my good friend Lloyd Biddlecombe. We came up to Astoria to hang out for the weekend, and Lloyd's got something really cool that I want you guys to all see. Lloyd is building an airplane, and when I say building an airplane, I don't mean he's like hacking together like a piece of junk. No, he's like building an airplane from scratch, basically. He did start with a kit, but he's modified the hell out of it and done better work than I think the factory even planned. So Lloyd, show us what you got.
Well, this is Van's aircraft, RV-9A. It's a two-seat side-by-side, low wing. Working on the fuselage right now. Got the wings done. Got the flaps and ailerons up in the rafters up here put away. Got the engine over here. It's an IO 320. Lycoming, 160 horse, fuel injected. So it should move along real good.
I gotta point out this beautiful, come over here. Get a close-up of this. Just like shoot it from like this angle so you get the perspective of how straight his rivet lines are. I mean, I just don't even have words to express Lloyd's workmanship.
Well, it's a quality kit. It goes together real good.
It's not just the kit though. Lloyd put a lot of effort into this. Like over here, Lloyd was showing me this morning, the wingtip. He took all the time to trim this wingtip so that the seam merges, and if you swing around, you can see an area over here.
I want to get an idea of how perspective.
Aileron. He trimmed this, and I'm just amazed at how well. Oh my God! he just trimmed it like perfectly. I mean, he didn't get close. He hit perfect. He's got inspector's lacquer on all of the bolts and fasteners. He's Veriprimed all of the aluminum surfaces. I mean, you can see these are Clecos for people that don't actually know what these are. These are really cool little things. Sheet metal workers, and especially aviation workers, use what's called a Cleco. And you use Cleco pliers. And you can extend the Cleco. And you find a rivet hole when you're lining stuff up. You put the Cleco in, and it'll hold everything together while you're lining stuff up to put it together. And then when you're ready to drive a rivet, you pull the Cleco out, put the rivet in, put a bucking bar on the back side of the rivet, put a rivet gun on the head, and you're done.
Right, you can see the tail cone here. This is already riveted. This is finished up to this point. And this is the area I'm working on now. And soon we'll be taking this apart, deburring the holes, dimpling them for the flush rivets. And then we'll rivet it all together just like the tail cone is.
This is probably one of the best home-built kit airplanes I've ever seen put together. I mean, it's just, the craftsmanship is flawless. If you go down to the tail and just shoot a video up along this perspective and look at the rivet lines, it's just, it's straight like an arrow. This thing is going to fly so nice.
Yeah.
See a lot of home builds that. How would you describe a lot of home builds?
Well, some of them are pretty shoddy.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Well, remember the one John had out there at the airfield that
Okay. Beep.
built out of wiring conduit. And
yeah, there was one built out of wiring conduit. Oh, you're talking about the one that like.
Not John's plane, but...
Oh, yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I thought you were talking about John's plane for a second. You're talking about...
He wanted to commit suicide.
Yeah, there was this guy that decided he was going to build a plane, but he didn't want to pay for a kit. He didn't want to pay for plans. He knew nothing about manufacturing. So he got, like, galvanized electrical conduit, and he used that for the basic frame, and he welded it together, even though galvanized steel is not weldable. And it just looked like... It was scary. It had like 2x4 wing spars, which definitely I'm not flying in standard.
Yeah, straight from Home Depot.
Yeah, Home Depot plane. And he had like wheel axles that were just like a piece of metal.
Yeah,
and
conduit.
It had like conduit. And it had like
bicycle
wheels on it. And he had drilled holes and just put nails and bent the nails, and that's what kept the wheels from falling off. Didn't have brakes. That was too modern for him, evidently.
Yeah, it's Fred Flintstone brakes.
He tried to fly it, though, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of basically...
Got slightly airborne, and then it went over on its side and crashed.
You should show him your cowling.
Yeah, here's a cowling over here. These are some interesting parts. Cowling being the area that covers your engine. This is the bottom cowling, bottom half. Right here's the air intake, this lower portion, and that's the top cowling.
The viewers, it's really interesting. This is actually made out of wet laid up fiberglass, and it's actually got a Nomex honeycomb core. This thing, what do you think this weighs? It's light.
It's very light.
It's rigid, it's nice, it's light.
6 pounds maybe?
Maybe 6 pounds. Yeah.
Maybe 10.
He's got a beautiful dynafocal Type 2 mount.
The engine mount. Here's the frame for the sliding bubble canopy.
Yep. Lloyd's got it going on.
Yeah.
He's got all the trimmings on this thing. He's got super bright LED position and nav lights and nice strobes on the wingtips. You've got an attitude indicator in that thing too.
Not yet. I will.
But
That angle of attack.
Angle of attack. Tell him about that angle of attack.
Yeah, angle of attack is really neat. Most people fly by airspeed. At least that's how I was taught. Right, but you can stall at any airspeed, but you always stall at the same angle of attack. So a more precise, more safe instrument to fly by would be the angle of attack indicator, and that's what all the carrier pilots use. The Navy pilots that land on carriers and stuff, they go by an angle of attack indicator. And so I went ahead and I decided that was one of the first instruments I was going to have, and so I went ahead and got one. And it works on differential air pressure. It has air ports on the top and the bottom surfaces of the wing, and by that it has a computer and determines what your angle of attack is. And with an LED readout, if you keep it in the green, you're safe. It doesn't matter what speed you're going. As long as that's in the green, you're good. So it's a really neat instrument to have. So with that, it'll be a safe plane.
Yeah. It'd be nice, man.
Yeah, not so apt to stall.
You live on Carpent Field. We should like show him Carpent Field. This is like...
Yeah, it's a little bit foggy today, but
follow him.
We're all the way at the west end of the field. You can't really see the field. It's up here on the other side of the trees. And it's a 1,900 foot or so grass airstrip. I'll walk up here. Well, you can't really get to it from there. You'd have to go up here, the end of the wood pile. I'll turn it off and then...
Yeah, turn it off. For all the YouTube viewers, that's Isabel. This is probably the coolest dog I've ever met.
Yeah.
What was the story with her?
Oh, we picked her up at a gas station. She was a stray.
She is the coolest dog.
Yeah. Don't know how old she is or what she's made of, but we've had her now. Gosh,
she's actually a
probably 7 years.
U.S. Department of Defense experiment. She's a data dog, and she got lost, and Lloyd took her home.
I'm getting an ND1 blinking on the screen. Is that okay?
It is now.
All right.
What does that mean?
Neutral density. It's just really bright days are really hard for planes. Okay, if you pan from left to right, you'll notice this is a grass strip. It's actually really, grass strips, some people think they're bad, and they're actually easier on planes than a lot of hard surface runways. These are just, it's really forgiving, it's nice, it's easy to track.
Yeah, not as smooth as asphalt, but it's
and this
it's soft.
Carpent Field is actually up on a hill, so it never really gets soggy and bad. The only thing that's interesting, if you look down there, you'll see these really tall trees.
The three?
There's three, well, actually there's four.
And then there's one over on the right.
Yeah,
too.
and that's the approach. When you're coming into this airport, that's the approach. In fact, I think I've got video. If I've got or a still picture, I'll show you a picture of the approach. I'll just edit that in. Because I've got a picture of us coming in the 150. Yeah. It's just a great little airport. People live on this airport. They just have their planes in their hangars, which are kind of like their garage, and they just taxi out on the runway and take off. And Lloyd lives that cool life. I used to live on an airport, but it wasn't this nice.
Yeah, it was a good airport. It's fun.
We had the shacky little airport kind of thing going on. What you eating, Isabel?